Trini Fitzgerald, and I'm going to show you guys how to potty train a puppy today. So have you ever thought about getting a puppy but have been worried about it mistaking the inside of your house for the outside and having a little accident? It can be very frustrating, but I'm going to show you I'm going to inform you on the skills and techniques that you're going to have to use in order to potty train your puppy in the most effective way. So I'm going to demonstrate and explain what tools you need and how to utilize them to the best of your advantage. I've owned and trained several dogs throughout my living. I've had little dogs, big dogs, very similar process. Some take longer than others, but I'm going to show you the most effective way in doing that. So we're going to talk about gathering the materials, what materials to use, and how to reward and penalize according to the behaviors that your dog gives out after. So we're going to start with the specific tools that you're going to need in order to potty train your puppy. So timing and consistency is very, very important. The use of a doggy door, treats, and rewards is very important. However, CertaPet explains that necessarily house training products include puppy pads, timer, a consistency, a patience, a bell, and training rewards. But we're just going to focus on these three right here, which is timing and consistency, a doggy door, and treats and rewards. So there's obviously very different combinations that you're able to use in order to potty train a puppy, but I'm just going to focus on these three today because they're the most effective. So why are we not going to use puppy pads like CertaPet suggested? It actually gives off a very different vibe for your dog, explaining that it can either go inside on the puppy pad or go outside, which obviously we're going to try to train it to go outside and not inside the house to have more accidents. So even Dr. Birch explains that the use of puppy pads and potty training can be tricky because you're reinforcing two different options for your dog. So now in the exciting part, we're going to start training how your dog can start to use those materials that I just listed. So WebMD suggests that every 30 to 60 minutes in between meals that you should take your dog outside to avoid accidents when you're in the process of puppy training. Accidents are obviously going to happen. They're puppies, they're not as smart as older dogs, but they're going to learn eventually. Setting a timer on your phone actually every 30 to 45 minutes to take your dog outside will train it to start getting used to the grass and knowing that that's where it needs to be. Housebreaking Bible claims that investing in a doggy door will actually make your training faster and further avoid accidents. So I'm actually a big believer in doggy doors. My current dog had a little bit of trouble at first, getting used to the doggy door, and that requires a little bit of further training, but it's definitely useful. So I'm actually going to show you in the next step how to actually use the doggy door, but it's going to be a little bit more useful. So in order to use the doggy door, it's the easiest that I found that standing on the opposite side of the door that your dog's standing on, and then using a treat to kind of lure him in or lure him or her into the door, encourages him to jump through the door and get used to it. It's obviously going to take some time, but it's definitely worth it. Next, we're going to talk about rewarding your dog for its behavior once it starts to get to know the gist of potty training. So, actually, not even that, but the use of treats and stuff actually creates a bond with your dog. Maybe not so much that it loves you that much, obviously it loves you, but that it's going to know right or wrong according to the treats, because it's going to know when it goes outside that it's going to get a treat. So CertaPet actually says that, CertaPet and the American Kennel Club say that to praise your dog like it won the lottery. So basically, when it's going outside doing what it needs to do, when you take it outside every 30 to 45 minutes, that you're going to have to praise it, clap your hands, do crazy stuff, talk to it like it's a baby. Everybody does that. Promise it works. It's just going to be a little less stressful for everybody else. Dr. Sophia Yin, which is a doctor of veterinary medicine, says to beware that if you punish your puppy, like if it goes inside and you don't want to spank it or anything like that, because it's going to scare him or her, and it's going to teach it to basically pee or poop in your house, except behind somewhere where you're not going to be able to see it, which is going to be even more frustrating. So I know it can be very frustrating coming home from a long day of work. You come home and there's a pleasant surprise in your living room. But the only thing you're going to want to do is clean it up and just move on. However, if you catch your dog in the act while you're home and it starts doing what it's got to do, you just want to clap or scare it in some way and then just put him outside. You don't want to ever do negative reinforcement just for that reason. So we've talked about the specific tools that are needed, how your dog is going to use those tools to the best of your advantage, and then how to reward. And I've explained those, so if you need to refer back to this, go ahead. But now it's your turn. It's your turn to be hands-on and show your puppy how to do it. It might be exhausting and frustrating, but I promise it's definitely worth it. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
Have you found that like some dogs are easier to train than other dogs?
Definitely, yes. It all depends on the dog. Obviously, they all have different personalities, and some have a better brain power than others. But definitely over time, like some definitely take longer than others. Like I had a boxer one time that took up to like 4 months to get potty trained, and still wasn't completely all the way. Like, but she had really bad anxiety, so it's just different factors that can factor into that. But definitely some take longer than others.
Have you always had a passion for animals?
Yes, I'm actually majoring in animal sciences to become a vet, so animals are a big part of my life. I've always had dogs, are like my favorite animal, but yes, I've always had a very big passion for animals.
Do you think that it depends on if the dog is adopted or breeded, that their personality and their like attitude towards potty training is different?
It definitely could, because if they're adopted, you're not knowing what their past has come from. They could be scared of certain things that you're trying to enforce. So like I'm saying, like don't try to do negative reinforcement, because they might have come from that, you know what I mean? But also if they're bred, they're more likely in like a homey environment where they're loved. So it probably could be a little easier if they're like from breeders than from when they're adopted. Do you guys have any other questions? Okay, thank you.